Imagine a small, silent shape rising into the sky, no pilot, no cockpit, no fear. A machine so advanced that even before takeoff, it already knows what to do, where to fly, and how to survive. This is the Northrop Grumman X-47A Pegasus, the hidden ancestor of modern combat drones, the machine that quietly opened the door to the future of aerial warfare. And today, on Wings of War, I'm going to show you why this little unmanned aircraft became the spark that changed everything, and why the next 30 seconds will completely change how you look at drones forever. Welcome to Wings of War, the place where we uncover the truth behind the machines that rule our skies. If you're passionate about fighter jets, drones, stealth technology, and legends of the air, then hit subscribe and join a community that loves aviation as much as you do. Because today, we're diving into the forgotten bird that created a revolution. A drone so simple, yet so powerful, that it became the blueprint for the future. The X-47A Pegasus doesn't look as dangerous as the modern stealth drones you know today. It's small, lightweight, almost harmless at first glance. But don't let that fool you, because inside this quiet machine lives the DNA of the X-47B, the X-47C, and the entire new generation of unmanned fighter aircraft. Pegasus was the beginning, the first page of a new chapter. A chapter where machines would take over the sky. When Northrop Grumman created the X-47A, they weren't building a weapon. They were building a vision. A vision of an aircraft that could fly itself, make decisions, and operate from places where no human pilot could survive. At the time, the idea of autonomous combat drones felt impossible. Too risky. Too advanced. Too far from reality. But Pegasus proved the world wrong. The first thing that shocked engineers and pilots alike was its shape, a pure flying wing design crafted for stealth. No vertical tail. No unnecessary surfaces. Just a smooth, aerodynamic ghost built to slip past enemy radar. Even though it was only a demonstrator, its radar signature was incredibly small. It didn't scream for attention. It whispered through the sky like a shadow. But what made Pegasus truly remarkable wasn't just how it looked, it was how it behaved. The X-47A could take off automatically, climb, follow pre-programmed routes, perform turns with perfect precision, and land by itself. At a time when drones were slow, awkward, and easy to detect, Pegasus flew with stability that surprised everyone. It wasn't a clumsy robot. It was a pilotless aircraft with discipline. And this is where the real story begins, because the X-47A wasn't just built to fly. It was built to prove a concept that would change military aviation forever, that an unmanned aircraft could one day perform fighter-level missions. Missions over hostile territory. Missions in high-risk zones. Missions where human life would otherwise be lost. But Pegasus didn't become famous because of weapons, in fact, it carried none. Its real purpose was far more important. It demonstrated the flight qualities needed for a future unmanned combat aircraft. Engineers were watching its every move. How it turned, how it handled turbulence, how it stabilized in fast maneuvers. Every flight was a lesson, a stepping stone, a message for the future. During test flights, one thing became crystal clear: flying wing drones could work. They could fly smoothly. They could remain stable. They could perform long missions. And above all, they could operate without pilots. This changed everything. Before Pegasus, many believed unmanned aircraft were only good for surveillance. After Pegasus, militaries began imagining drones that could attack, defend, escort, refuel, and even land on carriers. The X-47A laid the foundation for the X-47B, the drone that made history by taking off and landing on an aircraft carrier. That moment was possible only because Pegasus had already written the rules. Every lesson learned from this small demonstrator was used to build the next generation. In other words, Pegasus walked so the future could fly. And here's the part everyone forgets: Pegasus was one of the earliest attempts at a fully autonomous stealth attack drone. In a world where air combat was ruled by F-16s, F-15s, and manned jets, this little machine carried the future in its wings. It whispered an uncomfortable truth, that unmanned aircraft would one day challenge the throne of fighter jets. The X-47A didn't roar like a jet. It didn't carry weapons. It never fought a battle. But it changed military thinking more than many combat aircraft ever did. Because it showed the possibility of a sky ruled not by humans, but by machines. A sky where decisions happen in microseconds. A sky where drones fly in swarms, undetected, unstoppable, untouchable. And even though Pegasus flew for the first time in 2003, its legacy is everywhere today. Every modern UCAV, from the X-47B to the European Neuron, from China's Sharp Sword to the US. Loyal wingman programs carry the spirit of Pegasus. The idea it planted has now become reality. And in the future, autonomous combat drones may become the new kings of the sky, faster than pilots, more precise than humans, and fearless in missions that no man could survive. So is the X-47A Pegasus the real king of the sky? Maybe not in terms of power. Maybe not in terms of speed. Maybe not in terms of weapons. But if kings are defined by the legacy they leave behind, then yes, Pegasus is a king. A king that never needed to fight to win. A king that shaped the future without firing a single shot. A king whose influence created an entire generation of unmanned warriors. And this is why the X-47A Pegasus deserves respect. Because it was the beginning of a revolution. A small drone with a massive impact. A machine that quietly changed the destiny of aerial warfare. And today, as militaries race to build faster, smarter, more lethal unmanned aircraft, the world is finally seeing what Pegasus showed 2 decades ago, that the sky belongs to those who dare to innovate. This is Wings of War. If you want more stories about powerful jets, dangerous drones, and the future of air combat, subscribe now, because the next legend is coming, and you don't want to miss it.